All right, so I don't have the G9 Mark II. You don't have the G9 Mark II. Let's talk about it. Okay, I just want to throw out some of my thoughts I've been gathering since the announcement. So let's skip the intro. You guys all know, you've seen the reviews. Let's talk about the G9 Mark II. So first off, whether you like or dislike or anything in between the design decisions or features or whatever about the G9 Mark II, I do have to say that it's pretty smart engineering on Panasonic's standpoint to use a lot of the same parts. Now, Sony and other companies get a lot of grief for using parts over because, well, they're ancient, but Panasonic is using some of its newest sensors, newest technology, newest body design, some of its best body design, whether you like it or don't like it for certain things, to make their new cameras like the S5 II, the S5 IIX, again, exact same body, and the G9 II, which has 90% of the same body. It's a smart financial and engineering decision, but that does also translate to us in some way. So I've been a pretty big advocate for a while of owning a micro four thirds camera for the speed and a full frame camera for the image quality and low light performance. And so this just makes that even easier. Most of the cages fit, the battery grips fit, the muscle memory and ergonomics are very similar. And so if you are one of those people that subscribe to, I want both of these cameras for different things, which I know not everybody can do, but if you are one of those people for photo, video, or a hybrid shooter, then the transition between those two cameras are going to be pretty seamless, which is something I haven't really seen for a while. The biggest thing I can think of is something like the FX3 and FX30, which I think are pretty similar. I hope I'm getting the right cameras, but you know what I mean. I did ask people too what they thought of this announcement, and it says about 63, about 2/3 of people are pretty happy, saying it's amazing. Another 25 are saying it's pretty good, and only 12% to combine think it's okay or stinky. Which I just thought was a funny way to say not good. And that's about 100 votes, so obviously not a huge sample size, but for the people that watch me, they are a little bit more video oriented. Fair enough, but I still thought that was interesting. But there are I don't know if it's a minority or if it's just the people that talked on my channel and those polls, but there are some people that are a little upset about some of these changes. They are missing the G9 original ergonomics, the top LCD and some of the other features that really made that camera what it was. And I can definitely see that where a lot of the Mark IIs, like the S5 Mark II, GH5 Mark II, have been using the same or very similar body designs with some updates. And the G9 II is a complete redesign. So does it still have the spirit of the G9 where it's pushing the envelope and giving you the best technology Panasonic can offer? And in a way, this is kind of history repeating itself, having just as good or better video features than the flagship GH5. Now the GH6, that's kind of true as well because the IBIS and the autofocus, of course, is better, along with some other little details. So yeah, it's a discussion between form versus function, in my opinion. Yes, the function is all there. The G9 was one of the best photography and happened to be one of the best videography cameras at the time, and that is sort of happened again. So while this doesn't feel like necessarily a true successor to the G9, which I can kind of understand and relate to, I think it's still a welcome change, and it prioritized that functionality and features rather than that form factor that everybody really loved. So in this case, you win some, you lose some, but I think we're winning a lot more than we are losing out on that form factor, as great as it was. And that's the interesting part about this camera is I did a poll, and still, again, 62% of people thought this was a successor to the original G9. I didn't ask why, not many people said, but to me, it really does feel like a G9 and a GH5 and a GH6 and a little bit of S5 Mark II thrown in there. It's really, like I said before, with the features, but also with the body design and everything, it really is that culmination of everything Panasonic has been working for and doing. It's got the incredible video features. It's got the incredible photo features. It's got the new phase detect autofocus. It's got the best stabilization. Again, they didn't compromise stabilization just because they're like, oh, the stabilization is good enough. They're still pushing that forward, even though they've got the best in the game. So Panasonic is not slowing down. They're not stopping, and they're not holding anything back. And I think that is really cool, because the downside of this is we've lost a little bit of specialization. We've lost the G100s, we've lost the GH5Ss, we've lost the S1Rs, where we have a specialized camera. But the benefit there is you can pretty much guarantee that every camera you're getting is going to do 90-95% of what every camera before it could have done, which is really coll. The S5 II, the S5 IIX, the G9 II, these are all complete hybrid packages with little to nothing being held back. Well, maybe the S5 II has a few things held back, but that's because the S5 IIX exists. So yeah, I think that is an interesting way to go, is having these relatively affordable, insanely jam-packed cameras that are all true hybrids. But again, I do understand the downside of the lack of specialization. That was a hard word to say. That people might have been attracted to the Micro Four Thirds camera system before. Will we get another GH5S, a GH5S2, a GH6S? Or was that a one and done type of camera just because of how misunderstood it was? I guess only time will tell. So at the end of the day, the G9 II is about what I expected, and even a little bit more. I'm pretty impressed with the camera from what I've seen, and I almost worth buying just for the new way that dynamic range boost is implemented. But at the same time, I'm very happy with my GH6 and my S5 II, and I'd be happy to continue making videos and using those in production for a long, long time. So yeah, and I really am interested. What do you guys think of the G9 II? But what do you guys think about this new direction Panasonic is taking? Because again, I really do see them saying every camera needs to do everything to a pretty high level. We're not going to get the GH5S that doesn't have IBIS or has a low megapixel count for photos. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're fully going forward with this sort of standard, and I'm interested to see what that means for Panasonic, how people think about that, and how they feel that makes sense. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Listen to my G9 II-less thoughts. Again, I'm in the same boat as everybody else. I don't have the camera, don't have contacts with Panasonic. I just am a guy who enjoys the cameras and wants to talk about them. So I appreciate everybody who comments down below and adding to this discussion. And stay tuned for Thursday, because these cameras are getting more expensive. So I figured I'd go on the search for the cheapest lenses of all time. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Not that that matters to anybody, but all right.